Embassies, where diplomacy meets shenanigans, espionage, and occasionally fireworks. The glamorous, the bizarre, and the occasionally explosive world of diplomacy. Embassies are like Hogwarts for diplomats, mysterious, full of strange rules, and occasionally the site of magical or disastrous events. Officially, they exist to facilitate international relations, promote peace, and ensure countries play nice. Unofficially, they're the backdrop for some of the history's greatest spy missions, awkward international incidents, and yes, the occasional dramatic escape scene that could put a Hollywood blockbuster to shame. From tiny embassies operating out of a rented office above a bakery to sprawling fortress-like compounds with more security than the Batcave, embassies are the unsung heroes and sometimes villains of diplomacy. Not all embassies are created equal. Some are cozy little operations with a handful of staff and a coffee machine that's seen better days. Others are massive, self-sustaining cities that could host the Olympics if needed. Take, for example, the UK Embassy in Mongolia, a quaint little office with a few dedicated staff members who probably spend their days sipping tea and contemplating life in Ulaanbaatar. Then on the opposite end, there's the US Embassy in Baghdad, a 104-acre complex the size of Vatican City, complete with its own power grid, water supply, and a movie theater. You know, just in case diplomats need to unwind with Mission Impossible after a long day of, well, real-life missions impossible. Fun fact, the largest embassy ever, the Soviet Union's embassy in Berlin during the Cold War. It was so large it had its own subway station, which was probably used to smuggle spies in and out under the cover of darkness. Imagine a rulebook so powerful that it allows you to steal a car, run a red light, and still get away with it, all while sipping espresso in a fancy suit. That's the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, the legal document that gives embassies and diplomats special privileges. Almost every country follows it, except a few rebels like South Sudan, Palau, and the Solomon Islands, who presumably had better things to do than sign paperwork. The most famous rule, Article 22. An embassy's premises are inviolable, meaning the police, military, or even a concerned neighbor with a batch of cookies can't just walk in uninvited. This rule is why Julian Assange managed to spend 7 years living inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, dodging authorities like a real-life game of hide-and-seek. Eventually, Ecuador got tired of their long-term guest and called the British police to politely drag him out in 2019. Fun fact. Thanks to diplomatic immunity, a Georgian diplomat in Washington, D.C. once got caught shoplifting $800 worth of stuff from Target and walked out without consequences. He literally flashed his ID, shrugged, and left. Here's a fun fact you can use to impress or annoy people at dinner parties. The building you call an embassy is technically a chancery. The embassy is actually the group of people working inside. Oh, and contrary to popular belief, embassy grounds are not foreign soil. They're still subject to local laws, unless, of course, you're a diplomat, in which case you can break minor laws with impunity. See Target shoplifting incident. This became painfully clear in 1984, when someone inside the Libyan embassy in London opened fire on protesters outside, killing British police officer Yvonne Fletcher. The UK government surrounded the building but couldn't enter without Libya's permission. After an awkward standoff, the UK simply severed diplomatic relations and evicted everyone. A true diplomatic mic drop. Being an ambassador sounds glamorous, fancy dinners, international travel, making speeches. But in reality, it's a job that swings between high-stakes negotiations and glorified party planning. Some ambassadors negotiate peace deals, others cut ribbons at local cheese festivals. A major part of diplomacy is soft power, which includes things like China sending pandas to zoos and France opening a Louvre museum in Abu Dhabi to score points on the world stage. If you ever get invited to an ambassador's cocktail party, just know that every handshake, toast and canapé is part of a global chess match. Fun fact. The United States and China's relations improved in the 1970s thanks to ping pong. Yes, a friendly table tennis match helped thaw Cold War tensions in what became known as ping pong diplomacy. Who knew Forrest Gump was onto something? Embassy design varies wildly. Some embassies look like Bond villain lairs, while others resemble your grandma's colonial house. The Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. was designed by the children of I.M. Pei, yes, the guy who designed the Louvre Pyramid, and it's a sleek, imposing marvel. The British embassy, on the other hand, looks like an English country manor, probably because nothing says diplomacy like a Jane Austen setting. Meanwhile, US embassies tend to look like military bunkers thanks to frequent security threats. After the 1979 Iran hostage crisis, most American embassies became impenetrable fortresses with enough concrete to survive a nuclear blast. But in Canberra, Australia, the US embassy looks like a charming southern mansion, because apparently in Australia things are a bit more relaxed. Let's talk about the most ridiculously fortified embassy ever built, the US Embassy in Baghdad. Located in the Green Zone, this 104-acre beast cost $750 million to build and housed 16,000 staff at its peak. It has its own water, power, sewage, military protection, and even a helicopter pad. Fun fact: diplomats in dangerous places like Baghdad receive hardship pay, which can be up to 70% extra on top of their salary. It's like a video game side quest, but with more explosions. With instant messaging, AI, and virtual diplomacy, do we still need embassies? The answer is a resounding yes. Ambassadors are not just messengers. They build relationships, smooth over tensions, and, let's be honest, get things done in ways an email never could. No amount of Zoom calls can replace a well-timed handshake or a diplomatic toast at a gala. Plus, if we got rid of embassies, where would spies meet to exchange secret dossiers under the guise of casual luncheons? Exactly. So next time you walk past an embassy, give it a nod of respect. It's a world of espionage, diplomacy, and occasionally full-blown international drama, just the way history likes it. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You now qualify for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Smashing that like button instantly increases your coolness by 327%. Scientifically unproven but spiritually accurate. Subscribing guarantees good vibes and fewer traffic jams in your life. Hitting the notification bell may or may not summon a tiny dancing robot to your home, so go ahead, click those magical buttons before they get lonely. Otherwise, a mildly disappointed virtual pigeon will be sent to stare at you judgmentally. Thanks for watching, you're awesome.